Cool, man. So before we get started, bro, how's everything going for you, man, on your end?
No complaints, man. No complaints. Other than, like I said, I have one problem property. And I knew it was going to be a problem when we bought it. It was a husband ex-wife situation. She
Oh,
was deeded the property, and he's just been living there. So I bought it, like with him living there, and he's an attorney. So it's been
damn.
really fun trying to evict him because he just keeps like, he's playing every gray area. So yeah, other than that, man, everything's been good. Just been busy. Yesterday I got food poisoning. That was terrible. I was
Oh
KO'd all
shit.
day. But other than that, life has been it's been good, man. What about yourself?
It's good, bro. I'm actually going through an eviction right now too for the first time. It's dude, this we bought this house. We knew that their guy was going to give us problems also, but there was enough meat on the bone,
Yeah.
And dude, he just doesn't respond to us, bro. Like literally will not talk to us, won't open the door. Nothing, dude. So we finally went through all the proper stuff with the attorney and filed the eviction court this past week. And the attorney said that since we've done everything by the book, it should be an open case, shut close type of thing. But I don't think our guy's not as savvy as yours, man. I think he's just a dude that just doesn't want to, you know, face the
Leave.
music. Yeah, leave. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're usually pretty simple. We just did one like a couple weeks ago. It was like a family member and he didn't want to leave. At first he was going to, then right before closing, he was like, I'm not leaving. So I mean, we filed the eviction and then I mean we went to court and the judge was just like, yeah, I mean, your sister, that's already been handled. It was a probate case, there's nothing we can really do here. They own the property, so you're gonna have to leave. And then I mean he left. We still gave him a couple weeks to get everything out,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
so it's just part of what we do, right? Like,
It is,
unfortunately.
man. It's just part of it. And it's like, this is my first time dealing with it. So I was hoping that he would be responsive, man. But dude, I mean, won't even answer the door. So it's like, fuck, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's all
People,
good,
some
man.
people are shitty like that, man, but it's
Yeah,
consequences, right? Like, that's just, if we do, I mean, we got to pay money to buy these damn houses, you know what I
bro, I
mean?
know it.
So
I'm spending, a monthly interest note, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's just, but it's when it's all said and done, it'll be profitable, but it's a process to get there.
yeah, right. Yeah, and that's why I know everybody, if it was easy, everybody would do it, right?
Exactly, dude. That's exactly it, bro. Well, I'll get started, man. Make this pretty quick here. Bro, first off, reason why I reached out to you first, man, I've always watched people in our industry, and obviously you can, not social media doesn't tell the whole story, but you can kind of pick up on a lot of things. And, there's just some people that I feel like that are going to be here long term, and there's some that I feel like that won't be. And when I see you and Ben, I feel like you guys, it just feels solid. The way you build your business, the way you go about your business, the way you kind of reflect the way y'all, handle your day-to-day operation. It's real. It's the way things actually work, I feel like. And I think there's a lot of fluff, with Instagram and Facebook and social media in general. And I feel like it causes a lot of false expectations for people, man. And so I appreciate the way you kind of deliver your message in an authentic way, and I think that's we need more of that, in the entrepreneurial space. I feel like, you know what I mean? So that's why I reached out to you, man. That was the biggest thing that I picked up on you, just kind of watching your journey. And hopefully we can kind of learn more about that in this episode as well, man. So I'll kind of give an introduction to the best of my knowledge and let you dive in as well to introduce yourself. So obviously, man, I know you're not from Houston, but you obviously reside in Houston. You have a family. You have rental properties. You wholesale. You do flips. You have a few Airbnbs, I believe, as well. You have a partner in real estate with Ben. Kind of give us an introduction, Derek, on how you got into real estate and your current overview of your business right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's me and my business partner right now. It's going to sound like we're all over the place, but it's very calculated how we got to this point, which I'm sure we'll break down in detail. But right now, you know, we were doing a lot more wholesaling last year. Now we're honestly primarily flipping, just because of the opportunities that have been presented, and just being able to, you know, make more money off of the transactions. But we do still wholesale, and then like you said, we're getting into the Airbnb space. We'll have a couple units going live in the next few weeks. And then for me, how I got here, like you said, I'm from Tennessee originally, small town, and I moved here when I was 19. I packed up $1,000 and like all my items that I had to my possession at that time, which wasn't much, and hopped on my Chevy Impala and drove down to Houston with the goal to be an engineer. That's what I wanted to be, or so I thought. I wanted to be a petroleum engineer, so I went that route with going to college. And you know, I just finished getting my associate's degree, and I went to one of those seminars that we all hear on the radio, you know, like you said, the get rich in real estate. And it was a Rich Dad, and I had been in network marketing, and I'd read Rich Dad Poor Dad, so I was already intrigued. So I went to a seminar, and then I found out about this thing called wholesaling. And that moment, that weekend, is I can say one of those moments that, you know, as entrepreneurs, we can look back and connect the dots of those little you know, moments that really changed your life. And going to that seminar and learning about wholesaling was definitely one of those moments for me.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And so that's wholesaling is kind of how you got into, I guess, into the real estate game. And then you're doing, you know, fix and flips, and you have some rental properties and all that. How did it evolve from like just from wholesaling into the other parts of real estate?
Yeah, so I think it all starts small, right? Like I said, going back to that small moment of just learning about real estate and wholesaling, then I went down this rabbit hole of just learning everything that I could. And I was kind of all over the place for, you know, the first like 4 or 5 months. And I gave myself a timeline of 2 years to like figure this whole real estate thing out. Because I knew I had about 2 to 3 more years left of college. So I was like, worst case, I can always go back. So I got really focused. I think after like 4 or 5 months, I heard a Bigger Pockets episode, and it was like, you're trying to do all these things, you need to focus. If you want to do wholesaling, do wholesaling. If you want to flip, do flips. For me, I always tell people to start like where you're at. And for me at the moment, I was a broke college student waiting tables. I had no money. So that's where I started. And for me, wholesaling made the most sense because I knew you could hustle, you know, you could end up making money, but you didn't have to have a lot of money to start. And for me, my budget for the first 6 months, once I actually did start taking action, was just $200 a month. Cause I mean, that's all I could afford, but that's where I started. And, you know, I did direct mail for about 6 months, and, you know, it was a lot of no's, a lot of rejections, a lot of appointments, a lot of long drives. You already know, if you live in Houston,
Yeah,
those
yeah.
drives to a house are minimum, you know, 45 minutes to an hour. So, you know, it was just a lot of rejection, but I think by getting, you know, hyper focused on just figuring out wholesaling, and then, you know, once you get into this wholesaling world and you learn more, you know, people, opportunities, money, things find you. It's crazy what happens when you start taking action. And by doing that, doing deals, meeting people, putting myself out there, you know, I was able, and finding really good deals too, because that's what I got really good at. I was able to then I picked up a rental. You know, did that. We did the whole Burr method, and then after that, you know, it just made things seem more realistic, right? It was easier to comprehend all the moving parts that went into, you know, doing deals and purchasing them yourself. And it actually wasn't as scary, you know, as we make it out to be. I think sometimes we make things a lot harder in our mind than they really are. And I remember about a couple months before I bought that first rental, I was having lunch with a good buddy of mine in Nashville, and we were just having lunch, and just the way he thinks, it just opened my mind. And, you know, he was like, you know, what's the goal? You're wholesaling. And I was like, you know, I want to start buying rentals, you know, probably in the next 5 years. And, you know, he was like, why 5 years? And I didn't have an answer. Like, I don't know. Like, I
Right.
just, in my mind, 5 years sounded like a good time to start buying rentals. So, you know, that just made me think. And like the whole time I was just like, why not now? Like, so, and it's crazy how things work, because like a month or two later was when I got that first deal. And, due to connections and stuff like that, I was able to, get a private money lender in on that deal and, put everything together. And then that led into me and my business partner flipping a condo, which we made like $7,000 on, which nothing crazy, but that was like our first experience of flipping. And
Yeah.
then like now that's turned into, we have, I think 10 flips going together. We each have a rental under construction, and then we have, 2 or 3 more Airbnbs. So it's just like crazy to think from that one, that first property we wholesaled to now, I think we have like 15 different properties in between the two of us.
Wow.
And it all comes from that focus and just slowly trying new things, but still sticking to the formula, which for Ben and I has always been, helping people, doing good business, and just finding really good deals. And if you do the first two, the third one will come easily.
Absolutely. That's awesome, man. I think to start with just $200 a month, which, you know, I think a lot of us start with that. I mean, especially if you're getting into wholesaling. I mean, what wealthy rich person wants to go wholesale, right? I mean, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if I was already starting from that place, I would be like, dude, I'll just buy real estate. Like I don't want to wholesale,
Yeah.
you know? Um, but I think a lot of people when they get into real estate wholesale, a lot of guys I spoke to, they don't realize how tough it can be. And the consistency factor that it may take 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months just to halfway feel semi-confident in what you're doing. I mean, I know for me, it took me 6 months to get my first deal. Um, a lot of door knocking, a lot of driving for dollars, and a lot of, all that stuff. And I think a lot of people give up too soon, and to start off with $200 a month in monthly marketing, that just shows people that there is no excuse for not going after it if you really believe in it,
Mhm.
and obviously you really believed in what you were doing. So I guess my next question would be, what was that driving factor? Because see, that to me, that's what separates the people that stick to a business long term than the people that give up quick. Because you had every excuse in the book to just say, you know what, I only have $200 a month to do this, but you stuck it out, and now you have rental properties and flips and Airbnb. So what was that driving factor that was kind of the underlining motivation for you?
Yeah, and I think that's a great question because, like you say, consistency is hard. And for me, I think it was that I didn't have anything to lose, number one. And number two, I hated school, man. Like, and the thing is, like, I actually love learning. Like, since I've been in real estate, I've read more books than I did, 18
Right.
years. I listen to, a podcast almost every day,
Yeah.
sometimes 2 or 3. Like, I love learning and studying. It was just that, it's like the Albert Einstein quote, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
you're gonna think the fish is retarded, but it's just that he's
Yeah.
not in the right environment. So for me, I hated school. I still did okay in school, but I just didn't like what I was learning. So for me, I had nothing to lose. And then on top of that, I had already been, like I said, in network marketing, and I'd always had this entrepreneurial mind. Like even when I had jobs, I always had side hustles. When I was a kid, my grandpa always had me doing like all these little side hustles just because he grew up through the Great Depression. It was just more of a survival thing. But like I look back once again at all these little moments and things that I learned as a kid through becoming an adult, that I'm like, oh, this is why I am the way I am. I don't do good with authority. I had a lot of freedom as a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like living in a small town, like there's not too much you can get into. So your parents just let you do whatever. Like,
Yeah.
so, it's like all these things added up and compounded. And then it was just like I was at my breaking point. Like I was like, I didn't have any student loan debt. I'd paid myself through school, and I
Wow.
knew I was about to take on student loan debt. So I was like, is this something I even want to do that much, to take on hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt for, you know what I mean? To do something that I won't even enjoy. So, hearing real estate and finding out wholesaling, it was like, I can do this. The consistency part was hard though. Like after like 4 or 5 months, like I remember getting to a point, like literally breaking down, crying in my kitchen to my girl, like, this doesn't work. And it's funny because it's like my 5 feet from gold moment, because literally a week later I got my first deal. So it's like, sometimes, like, you know what I mean, it's still going to be a test. It's not going to be easy, and most people would quit after 6 months, but for me, I was still going to a job, you know what I mean? And I loved working at the restaurant. It was flexible, but I just never understood how those people operate. Most people, they'll work, make $200, and then they'll go out at night and spend 125. So I'm like, really,
Mm.
you only made, like
Yeah.
75 bucks for the day. I
Yeah.
just, the way they thought, and like, so I had these reminders of why I was doing what I was doing. And I knew it was possible because I was getting appointments. I just wasn't closing deals. And, once I got that first deal, it just made me, it just made me realize it was possible. But I think a big driver for me in my life, regardless, is regret. Like, I don't ever want to regret anything. That's why I moved out of my small hometown, because I would regret looking back one day if I had this opportunity and I never took it. And it was the same with wholesaling. And, like I said, it comes to that moment too, where you have to ask yourself, and you have to look in the mirror and just ask yourself, are you really that person? Are you about it? Because a lot of times in life, we say we want to do things, myself included, still to this day. And, I don't really want to do those things. It's
Yeah.
just, what's hot right now, or crypto, you know what I mean? Like, all
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
things that come and go by night. And for me, real estate's always been that thing that's like solid. If you look at any millionaire or wealthy person, they own some type of real estate.
100%.
So if I'm just like, I'm very old school. So it's like, you don't really have to reinvent the wheel if you have something that's proven. So, with that, not having much to lose, I was like, hey, let's try this. Like, I've invested time into, I've given, because for me, I didn't have a short journey in college because I had to pay out of pocket. I had to take less classes. It took me 5 years to get a 2-year degree. I'm
Yeah.
like, I've put 5 years into this. I can't put a year or 2 years into real estate.
Right.
And now it's like I'm 6 years deep, and I really just feel like I'm just getting started now, which is the craziest part, right? And I'm sure you feel the same way.
Dude, it's 100%, 100% agree with you. And you said something that I can really relate to a lot. And it's, like you said, that 5 feet from gold. Dude, I've had probably maybe 15 of those moments, like those big moments in my life, really more specifically with the whole real estate thing the last 4 years, where I was like, dude, I can't do this. It's not working. And I feel like, so I have, I have Blakeisms in my head, and I have like my own life philosophy. And I feel like, life wants to filter out, like you said. So, people say they want things, but if life just gave everybody what they wanted, then life wouldn't be that fun, and it's like a filter, so, I feel like if we want to be on this real estate journey, we want to be multimillionaires or whatever that is, as you start leveling up, life will throw tests at you to say, okay, to kind of let you prove to yourself that, yeah, I am about this, because the people that aren't, they quit, they quit. And, dude, being tested, I have, and it's all, a lot of it's just psychological, man. It's just a mental hurdle that we have to get through. But, to be consistent for 6 years is not easy. I mean, that's a huge testament, man, especially in today's world, because it's so, one day people are doing this, the next day they're doing this. So that's awesome, man. My next question is you have a great business partner with Ben. How did you guys get connected? And that's another challenge in the business world, is finding people that you can trust and build something with. So how do you guys link up, and what made him the right person to partner up with?
Yeah, and I'm glad. I'm just taking some notes here, just because there's a lot of things that I want to bring out in this. It's funny, man. All the instrumental people that I've met in my life, other than my fiance, is been through social media, yourself included. And I was at a point where I was like, I'd made some money, I'd went broke. I did that for the first 1.5 to 2 years of wholesaling, because you get some money, you stop marketing, right? And then,
Yeah.
like, you do this cycle. And then you make, you take somebody that was making, $2,000 to $3,000 a month, to they're making 10,000, like, just learning how to just even handle those blessings that you've got,
Yep.
right? So, financial literacy is such an important thing, but that's a whole nother podcast for a different
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
But so I met Ben though through social media. I always like to joke I slid in his DMs, but it was on Facebook Messenger. I messaged him. I saw he was doing bandit signs. Same thing. I watch people, and I had been watching people who is still in the business, because I always say it takes about 2 years before somebody's like done with real estate.
Yep.
That is a lifetime in real estate. So I just messaged him, was like, hey, I see you're doing bandit signs. I'd love to get lunch, learn about bandit signs. I honestly had no intentions of doing bandit signs, but that was my way to
Yeah.
network with people. And I used to do, 1 to 2 of those a week with just everybody that I could. And we had lunch, and I got a good vibe from him, but he was very standoffish. And to me, I kind of like that though, because it made me, you know what I mean? It's just like a seller, right? Like if you're pulling
Right.
away, I'm pulling forward.
Mm-hmm.
But I when we ended the meeting, we had a great conversation. We had a couple beers, and when we ended the meeting, I just told him, like I do everybody, if I can ever be of service to you, let me know. Whatever it is, I got you. Because I knew he was doing this full time, or part time. I'm sorry, and he had a full time job. So that was another thing like I already respected, because I had been there. Even though I was full time, I wasn't really making too much money. My girl was just supporting my dreams and hopes at the time. And about 2 weeks later, he sent me a property in Katy where I lived. This was after Harvey.